When someone attacks you with words, you have two paths: lose control and stoop to their level, or stand firm, master of yourself. That's the difference between weakness and true strength. It's not about winning arguments or shouting louder, it's about showing that your mind cannot be dragged down by provocation. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. Epictetus said that it's not what they say to us that affects us, but how we choose to interpret it. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that the real victory is mastering oneself. Seneca, for his part, warned that anger is the most useless of emotions because it destroys more the one who feels it than the one who receives it. Here, you will learn 5 strategic responses that do not seek to destroy the other, but to elevate yourself above the confrontation. Responses that you can apply in real life, in any situation, to demonstrate dignity, intelligence, and serenity. This is not a speech of naive calm, it's a training of power. Power to respond with a cool head when they want to ignite your fire, power to transform criticism into growth, and power to turn conflict into an opportunity for respect. Stay until the end, because what you will discover are not empty phrases, they are silent weapons that every authentic Stoic carries with them. Control, intelligent questions, dignity, and the ability to remain silent when silence weighs more than 1,000 words. Here begins the journey to stop reacting like anyone and start responding like someone who truly masters their inner world. 1. Choose control over anger. Anger is like a poison that someone leaves in front of you hoping you'll drink it. The bottle is open, the smell is strong, and the temptation to taste it seems inevitable. But the moment you do, it's you who ends up poisoned, not the person who put it in your path. Provocation will always be present, whether in traffic when someone insults you from their car, at the office when a colleague tries to ridicule you in front of everyone, or at home when a family argument flares up over something minor. The world pushes you to react and expects to see you lose control because that's the easiest, the most common, what most people do. The hard part is being in control of yourself when everything around you invites you to lose your cool. Stoicism teaches that anger never bears good fruit. Seneca said that no man who gives in to anger can be just, and he was right because anger clouds vision, distorts words, and turns a small problem into an unnecessary catastrophe. Whoever lets themselves be dominated by anger believes they are demonstrating strength, but in reality, they are showing weakness, showing that someone else had power over their emotions. True strength lies in not falling into that trap, in deciding that your mind will not stoop to being a slave to a fleeting impulse. Control is a silent weapon, more powerful than any shout, because whoever remains calm in the midst of the storm forces the other to confront themselves. Think about a work meeting where someone attacks you with sarcasm. If you respond in kind, the discussion will escalate until it becomes personal. But if you choose calm and respond with a measured tone, presenting facts instead of emotions, you not only avoid chaos, but you also earn respect from those watching. Controlling anger doesn't mean always staying silent. It means coldly choosing how to respond so that your words build instead of destroy. Epictetus taught that it's not things that upset us, but our interpretations of them. And here's the key. You can't control what the other person says, but you can control what you allow those words to awaken in you. When you choose control, you turn those words into air that dissolves, into noise that doesn't deserve space within you. Self-control is a daily practice, not something that appears out of nowhere, and it strengthens with each confrontation. Every time you decide not to give in to anger, you're training your character like a warrior preparing for the most important battle, the battle against oneself. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. And that phrase sums up what control means, because by refusing to react with anger, you show the other person that they have no power over you, and at the same time, you prove to yourself that you've grown, that your mind rules over your impulses. In everyday life, applying this principle is simpler than it seems. When someone provokes you, breathe before speaking. Remember that every second of calm is a wall you build against anger. Ask yourself if what you're going to say will contribute anything or just fuel the fire. Often, the real victory is not in the response you give, but in the one you choose not to give, in the silence that cuts off the confrontation and forces the other person to face their own emptiness. Choosing control over anger is not weakness. It's the greatest proof of inner strength, because anyone can be swept away by impulse, but only those who have trained their mind can maintain calm when everything incites them to lose it. 2. Respond with questions, not attacks. Verbal confrontation is like a game of chess. Some make their first move by launching a direct attack, hoping that you respond with the same force and enter their game. But the smart player does not rush, observes, analyzes, and places a piece that forces the opponent to rethink their strategy. In a discussion, that smart piece is questions, because while others lose energy shouting and throwing reproaches, you calmly take control of the situation, making the other reveal more of themselves than they wanted to show. Responding with questions is a deeply Stoic practice because it allows you to maintain serenity and at the same time dismantle aggression without resorting to verbal violence. When someone throws an attack at you, the first thing they expect is that you react with the same intensity. If instead you ask them, "What makes you think that?" or "Why do you feel the need to say it like that?" you immediately change the course of the dialogue. Epictetus insisted that the best defense is to question our own perceptions before reacting, and that same logic can be applied to the other. Asking is not only a shield, it is also a mirror, because it forces the attacker to look at what they are really saying and to face the void that often hides behind their words. Marcus Aurelius also wrote that arguments are rarely won with shouts, but with clarity, and there is nothing clearer than a well-asked question that cuts through hostility. In everyday practice, this is very useful. Imagine a work meeting where someone accuses you without reason. Instead of responding with a "you too" or with a defensive tone, you can look straight ahead and calmly ask, "Can you give me a concrete example of what you are saying?" That simple question places the other person on uncomfortable ground because it forces them to support their words with facts, and if they don't have them, their attack loses strength. In a family environment, when someone makes a sarcastic comment, you can ask, "What are you trying to say with that?" You don't need to complicate it. The important thing is that your question does not carry poison, but serenity, because if you ask with sarcasm, you fall into the same game you are trying to avoid. The aim is to disarm the other with intelligence, not to poison the conversation further. Another way to apply this practice is to use questions that redirect the conversation to a more constructive ground. For example, if a client speaks to you with exaggerated anger, you can say, "What solution do you expect from this?" That question turns an attack into a space for collaboration, because it forces the other to stop throwing complaints and start thinking about what they really want to achieve. This simple move changes the dynamics and allows you to maintain your dignity without lowering yourself. Respond with questions and not attacks, because the question opens, while the attack closes. The question gives space to dialogue. While the attack hardens positions, the question reflects calm, while the attack shows weakness. Asking is the weapon of those who master their emotions, of those who understand that true control is not demonstrated with shouts, but with intelligence. The next time someone tries to provoke you, remember that you are not obliged to return the blow. You can move your piece wisely and disarm the aggression with something as simple and powerful as a question. That is the difference between reacting like everyone else and responding like someone who masters their character. 3. Admit mistakes with grace. Stumbling in public feels like falling in the middle of a crowd. The noise of the impact, the piercing stares, and the embarrassment trying to cover you. But the interesting thing is that what really matters is not the fall itself, but how you choose to get up. Some do it with anger, denying the obvious and trying to blame others, while others rise calmly, acknowledge what happened, and continue walking with their heads held high. That difference marks the respect you inspire in others and the inner peace you achieve with yourself. Accepting a mistake is not surrender, it is courage. The one who acknowledges it shows confidence, because only someone strong is capable of looking at themselves honestly and admitting they were wrong. On the other hand, the one who hides their failures or looks for excuses conveys fragility, because it reveals that they fear losing value in front of others. The Stoics understood this clearly. Seneca said that the wise man is not afraid to acknowledge that he has erred, because he knows that error is part of learning. This mindset makes you the owner of your dignity, even in adverse situations. Imagine a work meeting where you made a mistake that affected the team. The common reaction would be to justify oneself to save face, but the Stoic response would be to calmly say, "I was wrong. I take responsibility and will work on the solution." That simple statement completely changes the atmosphere, because instead of generating more tension, it opens the door to respect and trust. In a family environment, if you reacted impulsively and hurt someone with your words, instead of continuing to defend your attitude, you can acknowledge it. "What I said was not right. I let myself be carried away by emotion, and I will not do it again." The other person will have no weapons to continue attacking, because your greatness disarms the confrontation. The practical advice is to train yourself to see mistakes not as stains on your honor, but as tests of your strength. The next time you fail, before justifying yourself, breathe and ask yourself, "What do I lose if I acknowledge this mistake? And what do I gain if I accept it calmly?" You will realize that by admitting it, you gain authority, because the one who acknowledges their mistake is perceived as someone integral and confident, not as someone weak. Marcus Aurelius wrote that man is ennobled by accepting the truth of his actions, and this is crucial in times when everyone seeks to be right at any cost. Acknowledging the mistake is rebelling against that need to appear perfect. It is saying, "I prefer to be authentic rather than being false to win." That kind of greatness generates an influence that goes beyond words, because it inspires others to do the same. Another practical recommendation is not to stay only in the recognition, but to accompany it with action, because admitting without changing is staying halfway. If you failed at your job, propose a clear plan to correct it. If you hurt someone, demonstrate with actions your intention not to repeat it. That consistency between what you say and what you do is what builds credibility, both with yourself and with others. Admitting mistakes with grace is choosing the path of honesty over pride. It is showing that your value does not depend on seeming perfect, but on being authentic, and that true respect is not won with excuses, but with responsibility. That is the difference between the one who sinks in the fall and the one who rises stronger than before. 4. Overcome prejudices with curiosity. Prejudices are like hastily erected walls that block the view and reduce your world to a narrow corner. From that corner, you only see what confirms your beliefs, but never what challenges them. Curiosity, on the other hand, is the hammer that knocks down those walls and opens up space for a broader horizon. In a confrontation, choosing curiosity over prejudice not only disarms the conflict, but also gives you control of the situation. When someone attacks you with an opinion loaded with judgments, the easiest thing is to respond with an even harsher judgment. But what strengthens you is to stop and ask yourself what's behind those words. Perhaps that person is speaking from their own pain, from a hidden fear, or from the frustration of feeling ignored. Instead of reacting with hostility, a Stoic tends to look calmly and use curiosity as a strategic tool. Seneca said that no one can learn what they believe they already know, and the same happens in discussions. If you believe that you already have the truth, you close the door to understanding. Curiosity in the midst of conflict is more practical than it seems. In a work meeting, when someone harshly criticizes your proposal, you can respond with a simple question. What part do you think can be improved and why? This attitude breaks the expected pattern, because instead of defending yourself with pride, you invite the other person to delve into what they think. In a social environment, if someone makes a prejudiced comment towards you, you can respond, "What makes you think that?" In this way, you transform aggression into a space to expose their reasons, and in many cases, you expose the superficiality of their attack. The practical advice is to train yourself to change the focus when you feel that prejudices want to dominate your reaction. Every time you hear something that hurts your ego, instead of looking for the most hurtful response, look for the question that opens dialogue. Asking from curiosity does not mean justifying the attack. It means placing yourself on a higher level, where you are not a victim of anger, but the owner of the conversation. This not only protects your dignity, but also allows you to learn more about the way others think, even when you disagree with them. Marcus Aurelius advised that every time you face someone difficult, remember that this person acts according to what they believe is right, even if they are wrong. This reminder is key because it takes you away from the prejudice of thinking that the other person only wants to hurt you. Maybe they act out of ignorance, from pain, or from habit. By looking at them with curiosity instead of anger, you stop feeding the circle of hostility and place yourself in the realm of self-control. Another way to apply this practice is to redirect the energy of confrontation towards a constructive terrain. For example, when a neighbor argues aggressively about a problem in the community, you can ask, "What solution would make you feel heard?" This question, loaded with curiosity, forces the shift from attack to the search for solutions and often turns an adversary into someone willing to cooperate. Overcoming prejudices with curiosity is a training that strengthens your mind because you choose to see beyond what is said on the surface. By doing so, you become someone who does not respond from offense, but from intelligence. That is the power that distinguishes you from those who react with emotional blindness. 5. Be thankful even for the harshest criticism. Critiques are like stones thrown in the middle of the path. Some hit hard, others just graze, but all force you to stop for a moment. You can choose to pick up these stones and carry them as a useless weight, or you can use them to build a step that takes you higher. That choice makes the difference between someone who gets stuck in complaint and someone who transforms harshness into an opportunity to grow. The natural instinct when we receive criticism is to defend ourselves, justify what we did, or counterattack with another wound. But the Stoic approach is radically different: to be thankful. Because even in the most unfair criticism, there is an opportunity to train patience, to strengthen character, and to learn something valuable. Seneca made it clear, the wise man benefits even from the enemy, because everything that happens to him becomes material for his growth. Being thankful does not mean agreeing with everything you are told. It means recognizing that every word, fair or unfair, can be used to your advantage if you choose to interpret it intelligently. In everyday life, this principle applies directly. At work, when a client throws harsh criticism at you, instead of responding uncomfortably, you can say, "Thank you for pointing it out. I will review it and improve it." That response not only lowers the tension, it also transforms the perception that the other has of you, because instead of appearing weak, you project maturity and security. In the family, when someone reproaches you for a mistake with harsh words, you can respond, "I appreciate you telling me. I will take it into account." That simple gesture disarms the confrontation because the other expected resistance, not openness. The practical advice is to train yourself to see criticism as a mirror. Always ask yourself what part of what you hear has some truth, however minimal. Maybe the form was unfair, but the substance can show a blind spot you hadn't noticed. That attitude turns every criticism into a silent teacher. Even when the criticism has no basis, you can thank it because it gives you the opportunity to demonstrate self-control and dignity. Being thankful does not weaken you, it elevates you because no one expects gratitude in the face of attack. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should receive everything that comes to us as part of the training of the soul. Every criticism, no matter how uncomfortable, is part of that training. Adopting that perspective places you above the noise because instead of reacting like everyone else, you choose to see what others do not see, a hidden opportunity. Another way to apply this principle is to respond with gratitude even in the most hostile environments. Imagine a meeting where someone tries to ridicule your work. Instead of falling into the provocation, you can answer, "Thank you for your comment. It helps me see it from another angle." What seemed like an attack becomes a demonstration of self-control. Thanking the criticism is not submission, it is self-control. It is to show that no word can take away the calm and the confidence you have in yourself. That kind of response turns the negative into a positive resource, the hostile into training, and the hard into an impulse to grow. The next time you receive criticism, don't carry it as a weight. Receive it as a stone that you can place on your path to elevate yourself a little higher. That is the difference between the one who gets stuck in the offense and the one who transforms harshness into greatness. 6. Make silence your strategy. Silence is like a hidden edge, invisible to the naked eye, but capable of cutting deeper than any word. In the midst of a confrontation, silence is not absence, it is multiplied presence. While the other wears out raising their voice and launching attacks, you choose not to give up your energy, and at that moment your silence weighs more than any impulsive response. Whoever masters silence masters the terrain. The common instinct is to fill every space with words, to defend, to justify, to strike back. But what reveals real power is the ability to stop, to keep calm when everyone expects noise. The Stoics valued silence because they understood that speaking without thinking is slavery and keeping silent with intelligence is freedom. Seneca affirmed that it is not necessary to respond to every provocation, and that prudence is measured more by what you choose to keep silent than by what you choose to say. In practice, using silence as a strategy is more powerful than it seems. Imagine a discussion at work where a colleague loses their temper and starts to raise their voice. If you respond in the same way, the meeting turns into a battlefield. But if you keep silent and maintain a firm gaze, you achieve two things. You do not feed the fire, and you force the other to feel uncomfortable with their own lack of control. In a social situation, if someone throws an offensive joke at you and you decide not to react, the attack fades because what it was looking for was your reaction. Without a response, the provocation dies alone. The practical advice is to learn to differentiate between keeping silent out of fear and keeping silent as a strategy. Cowardly silence is that which arises from not knowing how to defend yourself, but strong silence is the one you choose when you know that no word is necessary. To apply it before responding in a confrontation, ask yourself if your words are going to solve the problem or only prolong it. If you find that they are not going to build anything, your best response is to give none. Marcus Aurelius advised that the calm soul does not need boasts or constant defenses because it sustains itself. This principle fits with the practice of silence. You do not need to prove anything to anyone if you already know who you are. Keeping silent at the right time is not surrendering. It is showing that you are not willing to give up your inner peace for an empty argument. Another way to use silence is to accompany it with firm gestures. Maintaining an upright posture, a fixed gaze, and a serene face amplifies the impact of your silence. The other person perceives that you do not react because you cannot, but because you do not want to, and that difference completely changes the dynamics. Silence becomes a solid wall that stops aggression without you having to lift a finger. In family or neighborhood conflicts, when the other party seeks to drag you into an endless fight, silence is a reminder that not everything deserves a response. You can choose the time to speak later, when the waters are calmer and reason can prevail over emotion. This control of time is another side of silence, because it is not only to keep quiet, it is also to decide when to speak with impact. Making silence your strategy is understanding that not all battles are won with noise. Some are won with the calm of those who know how to wait, those who do not let themselves be dragged, those who show that their character is stronger than any provocation. The next time someone tries to ignite your fire, remember that sometimes the strongest blow is not what you say, but what you choose not to say. 7. Always maintain your dignity. Dignity is like an invisible armor. It doesn't shine in sight, nor does it make noise, but it protects you from the hardest blows. When someone attacks you with venomous words, the easiest reaction is to take off that armor and respond with the same fury. But by doing so, you expose yourself and you stoop to the level of the one trying to drag you down. Dignity is not empty pride. It is the firmness of staying intact, even when others seek to tarnish you. Losing your dignity in a confrontation is like handing over the keys to your house to the enemy. You let chaos in and give up the power you had over yourself. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that what really harms a man is not what is said to him, but what he chooses to become after hearing it. This teaching shows that dignity is a daily decision. It is preserved each time you choose not to react as others expect. In everyday life, this is clearly manifested. Imagine a meeting where someone ridicules you in front of the team. If you respond with insults, you may get a moment of relief, but you will lose the credibility that cost you so much to build. On the other hand, if you respond calmly, without raising your voice and holding your firm stance, the attention will shift from the attack to your ability to control. This mastery not only disarms your aggressor, it also elevates the perception others have of you. The practical advice is to establish an unbreakable principle. Never allow the emotion of the moment to make you betray your character. Before responding in the midst of a provocation, think if your words or actions will keep your dignity intact, or if you will later regret having stooped to the other's level. This mental filter becomes a shield because it reminds you that the most valuable respect is the one you have for yourself. Seneca wrote that anger always makes us say things we later wish we hadn't said. That phrase is a clear warning. When you lose your dignity in the middle of a discussion, the damage is not only received by the relationship with the other, you receive it by destroying your own image. Preserving dignity means speaking firmly without resorting to vulgarity, defending your ideas without the need to humiliate, withdrawing from a conflict when you understand that continuing to argue only consumes your energy. In the family or social sphere, preserving dignity also involves setting boundaries. If someone insists on using offensive words or manipulating you with sarcasm, your dignified response can be to withdraw from the conversation instead of continuing to fuel it. This exit is not weakness. It is the demonstration that you value your peace more than a useless victory. Dignity is measured in those small decisions that, accumulated, define who you are. Another practical way to train this attitude is to visualize each confrontation as a scene observed by third parties. Ask yourself, what impression do I want to leave if others see me respond in this way? If you act from dignity, even your critics will have to acknowledge your control, because there is no stronger weapon than the consistency between what you say and how you uphold it. Always preserving your dignity means that no matter how strong the provocation, you do not give up control of your essence. Dignity is that armor that no one can take away from you unless you decide to take it off. The next time someone tries to tarnish you with words, remember that the real triumph is not defeating the other. It is coming out of the confrontation without having betrayed your own respect. That is the silent victory that distinguishes the strong from the weak. 8. Transform conflict into respect. Conflict is like a spark in the dark, small at the beginning, but capable of igniting a fire if not controlled. Many react by pouring more gasoline, they argue, shout, and end up losing more than they had gained. But there is another option. Use that spark to light a lamp, to illuminate a space where there were only shadows before. Transforming conflict into respect is precisely that, taking a hostile situation and turning it into a stage for growth and mutual recognition. The common mistake in every confrontation is to believe that it is about defeating the other, crushing them to demonstrate power. This mentality is what turns arguments into personal wars that leave deep scars. The Stoic, on the other hand, understands that every conflict is an opportunity to show self-mastery and by doing so, inspire respect. Epictetus reminded us that no one has power over you unless you give it to them, and that is the basis for changing the course of any confrontation. In practice, this means changing the goal. Don't enter a discussion thinking about destroying the other. Enter thinking about coming out strengthened in dignity and serenity. In a work meeting, when someone attacks you for your work, instead of counter-attacking you, can respond with facts and keep calm. This attitude makes it clear that you don't need to shout to defend yourself because your confidence stands on its own. What seemed like an attack becomes a demonstration of strength that inspires respect, even in those who are not on your side. The practical advice is to learn to redirect the energy of confrontation towards cooperation. If someone complains harshly, ask them, "What solution do you propose?" In this way, you move from complaint to construction, and although the other person does not always respond maturely, you have shown leadership. In family environments, if a conflict escalates, you can set a limit by calmly saying, "We can talk about this," but without disrespecting each other. Marcus Aurelius wrote that what matters is not what others do, but what you choose to do with what you are dealt. By applying this vision, you stop seeing the other as an enemy and see them as a mirror that shows you your capacity for self-control. Each conflict becomes a test, and each test passed becomes an opportunity to grow in character. This growth, sooner or later, makes even your adversaries respect you because they understand that you are not someone easy to break. Another strategy to transform conflict into respect is to respond with consistency, maintaining the same tone, the same calm, and the same clarity from beginning to end. Respect is not won with a moment of brilliance, but with the consistency of someone who acts the same in every situation. When others notice that you don't get upset, that you don't resort to insults, and that you always prioritize serenity, they start to see you as someone firm, someone whose presence doesn't need to impose itself because it speaks for itself. Conflict doesn't have to be a battlefield. It can become a stage where you show who you really are. Each hostile word you receive is an invitation to choose between two paths. React like anyone else or respond like someone who masters their mind. Transforming conflict into respect is the art of taking what others use to belittle you and turning it into the proof that elevates you. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment, "I am Stoic," as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.